What happens to the data in an online form depends on whether it's submitted using the POST or GET method. In this video, I explain the difference between the two methods and introduce you to three of PHP's superglobal arrays. By default, forms are submitted using the GET method, but it's common practice to specify which method you want to use by adding the method attribute to the opening form tag. In this particular case, I've set it explicitly to GET. The action attribute tells the browser where to send the data for processing. Usually this is the address of a script that checks the data and then handles it in some way or another, such as emailing it or inserting it into a database. My preference is to add the processing script in a conditional statement above the doc type and create what's known as a self-processing form. The reason for doing this is that it makes it easy to redisplay the form if there are any errors. Leaving the action attribute empty results in the page reloading, and that's valid in HTML4 but not in HTML5, which requires a value for the action attribute. You could just type in the name of the page that the form is in, but PHP has a useful preset variable that you can use instead. Let's just add that. PHP echo, and then the name of the variable begins with an underscore, and it's server, and then the name of the array key is PHP underscore self, all in uppercase. So this automatically inserts the name of the current page into the action attribute, turning it into a self-processing form. Server or underscore server is one of PHP's superglobal arrays that are always available in any script, and the names of the superglobals are always in uppercase, and with one exception they all begin with an underscore. There are two other superglobal arrays that take their names from the GET and POST methods, and they capture the data submitted by a form. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little PHP script down here between the pre-tags to use the GET and POST arrays. So if we add opening PHP tag and a closing one, and then in here a conditional statement. If GET, and then we're going to echo something, and I'm going to use a single quoted string because I'm going to put that variable in there, but I want it to be displayed as plain text, not to be interpreted. Contents of the GET array, and then we'll have a BR tag for a new line, and then use print R to inspect the contents of the GET array. Then else if post, and what I want to do is to inspect them, so I'm going to copy that and paste it, and I see that I've not done a curly brace there. I've got a square bracket, so let's correct that, and then I'll just change GET to POST in both cases. The GET and POST arrays are always created, but PHP treats an empty array as being false, so if the GET array contains nothing, this part of code will be ignored, and if the POST array contains nothing, this part of the code will be ignored. But if either array contains any values, then the code will be executed. So this enables us to see the contents of either the POST or the GET array. So let's save that and view it in a browser. So here's the form. Let's put some data in there. I'll put my name in there and an email and some very simple comments, and then submit the form. The contents of the getArray are down here, and the array keys are taken from the name attributes of each form element. So name is name, name is email, and name is comments, and also from the submit button. That name is sent as well, and the values is the data that I submitted through the form. But I've used the getArray, and notice that appended to the end of the URL is a question mark followed by a series of name-value pairs containing the names of the form elements and the values that were submitted through the form. So when you use the get method, everything is attached to the end of the URL as a query string, but you can use a PHP script and the getArray to retrieve those values. So let's just try out the post method. Change the method there to post, save the form, and view it in a browser. Just quickly fill in a couple of fields. I'll leave one of them empty, and then submit it. Nothing has been added to the URL because we're sending it using the post method. And the post array contains exactly the same as before. The array keys are taken from the name attributes within the form. And even though the email was left empty, it is included in the post array. It would also be included in the get array if I'd used the get method. So the post and get superglobal arrays capture the values submitted by a form using the post and get methods respectively. The name attribute of each form element is used as the array key. In addition to data submitted by a form, the get array captures any name-value pairs appended to the URL as a query string. As a general rule, the get method should be used only for search forms because data is exposed in the URL and can be bookmarked. Use the post method for sending emails or for inserting records into a database.